Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Sunday. We're having a little bit of a pause there on getting started. I was just sitting here because we've had connections issues, so I just want to make sure we were completely live before I started talking. So I'm hoping you're having a good Sunday or a Monday, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in the world. Right here, it's a Sunday afternoon, absolutely gorgeous outside. We're in the mid 80s. It feels like summer again, even though we're almost the 1st of October. It's still not feeling like the time to be in working on your train layout yet, like we do for winter time. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, I'm just doing it no matter what anyway. So this is just going to be an update today and talk about what happened yesterday because I know we were scheduled for a live event yesterday. Um, we'll start with that. We were out at Monroe, as we had posted, Monroe, Wisconsin, for a train show. And it's a good train show. This is their 45th or 47th annual. I don't know which. I don't remember which. Um, it's held in an ice rink. It's a it's a big building, but inside, as anybody that's been in an ice rink knows, I mean, it's insulated like crazy to keep all that cold air in and everything when it starts to warm up to keep everything frozen. So between all the insulation in the roof and all of the metal, nobody has reception in there. I mean, I was talking to a lot of people, and everybody has to go outside if they need to make a phone call. They got to step outside the door. There was only maybe three people I actually saw walking around talking on their phones, and I don't know how they were actually able to do it. So, because nobody I saw or talked to or us ourselves were able to do it. So, unfortunately, the Monroe show is not one that we're going to be able to live feed at, which is a shame because it's really a very good show. It gets There were probably about 15 layouts and maybe 100 vendors tables. It was really good. And it always is. It's about the same every year. You get the same group of guys coming, just new equipment that they run that they've picked up over the years and like to show off what they've done on their modules, which is really good. Some guys have really been working on it. I can't think of the name of it. There's one big group there that comes every year. It's an HO group, and you'll actually get to see some videos here pretty soon on our channel of their module layout and a lot of the equipment they were running. What I did this time, what I've never done before, is I've done the tours, the walk around the layouts at every show we go to. And those are videos that we have up on the channel in our longer video sections. But what I did this time is instead of just me walking around it, is I walked around each layout numerous times, but I would take a train that they actually had running and I would pace it all the way around. I would just take the first engine and maybe car, so it's kind of like your rail fanning. If you've ever done that, where you're chasing a train, like 4004 or 3985 when they were running, and everybody was on the highway going crazy trying to just pace it, and they were all videoing it just going along the sides. And so that's what we were doing. Is I was just walking along with it, and we were doing the. So you'll see the whole layout, but kind of like from a rail fan perspective, chasing the train. It's going to be really neat. You'll just see it as we pass through all the areas because these module layouts at train shows, everybody has their own vision as to what they want to do in their module, and they take and uh, you can have a winter scene right here going straight into a summer scene, straight into mountains and just or a full blown city. So or something completely fanciful like you'll see here. We even had areas where there were alien spacecraft landing and some taking up cows and doing things, and it's pretty fun. So anyway, show was really good. We met some really nice people there, people I've never met before. There was a fellow I bought these cars from. Actually, I bought a total of 12 cars from him. Um, we were talking about, he saw our shirts, and we were talking about our YouTube channel with him, and he said, "Well, he says, just help support the channel." He says, "I'll give you a great deal on whatever you want." And we made a deal on some cars, and it was a fantastic deal. And this is 12. This is 3 of the 12. So we will be showing these. We showed him images of the weathered cars I did with the graffiti, and he just really loved it. He says, "Was that what you're going to do with these?" I said, "Oh yeah," because any cars that I usually buy that don't have the box, I for sure will at least weather them, if not put graffiti on them. So since some of these had boxes, but a lot of them did have metal wheels, which was nice. So we've got KDs and metal wheels on everything. So it's and they're really kind of more unusual cars. So we'll see how that goes. He was just really excited to see what we were going to turn them into, what kind of graffiti I was going to put on them, and what they were going to look like at the end. So it looks like I think I actually lost the coupler off this one, and I think that's when I was bringing it upstairs. I kind of hit the end. I've got the coupler down there. I'll get it installed back on, but I'll do a close up of that in a minute. So anyway, a lot has happened. Last time we had a live session, we did this right here. I did the weathering here. That now that it's really set up, it really is nice. I'll do a close up here in a minute of how this all came out, doing the light highlights and weathering on the rocks. So this is completely finished all the way down right here. I've got this back here left to go. I wasn't for sure what I was going to be doing with this because you'll see here in a minute, I got the bridge finally finished going over to it. So now I know what I need to do back here, which is a good thing that I didn't go ahead and do more than what I've got right here because I'm actually going to be cutting tunnels through for roads to pass off our main road here after it crosses the track that goes back, and then the elevator will be spanning those areas. So it's kind of a good thing I just didn't put all of the weathering and time into that because it is going to change. So I'll talk about that here in a minute. So that's where we're at. You'll see this right here. I think this, I don't think I had this up the last time we did a live feed talking about the layout. So we will have this. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. And I'll show you the first thing that we've gotten painted. I don't think you can actually see it in the angle of the lens just yet. But the first major structure is now painted for the city. And I'll show you that here in a minute. And then I'll put the station back in place. So you can see how that looks. It looks really nice too. And I'll show you our latest big building that we have coming, because we're going to have a lot of skyscrapers in the city. We decided to replace one of them here with a taller one, same size and everything, same style, the whole works. And then I'm going to talk about what we're getting ready to do under here starting tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to grab the camera so I can start moving it around and showing you everything that we've got going on. So here we go. All right, well, right off the bat, you can see the biggest change. Right there, we have the elevated track painted about halfway. We have a beautiful blue on it. There's a lot of elevated tracks that are done in a blue very similar to this. I kind of went over it a little bit. We have a video that shows it, that we did a quick little 20-second short video on it, but I'm just going to show you a little more of the details. You can see up here, we've got the handrails, everything's painted. If you look down here, you can see it's just beautifully set into place between the buildings. It's exactly what I was hoping it was going to look like. So now we'll have that through the back right here. And then we'll have all these big buildings. This build is going to get started right here. We wound up getting a bunch of orders this week for the Z-scale buildings, so we've got to print those off first, and then I go to start printing the tall buildings right here. So then we've just moved along here. This is the station. We've shown some videos on this, on the build on this. So if you haven't seen those, again, that might be something you want to take a look at. You look at this and you think, oh boy, that's just way oversized. It really isn't. This is how tall these windows really are. This opening right here on the real building is about 60 to 70 feet tall. So if you compare that to, this would be a 6-story right here, which is pretty comparable to this. Let me just put this right now. We're just going to see if we can just set this right here in place, because I want to show you the effect we're going to get. Okay. So here's the station with everything else behind it. It is very prominent and very large, but it's going to be great for filming the trains coming underneath it. This I'm going to paint the ruddy brown primer. I'm going to show you that here in a second, what that looks like. That right here is this color right up here that we have on the steel mill. So that color right there will be all of this I-beam down here at the bottom. And this is going to be visible. We will have some of the fascia covering what would be considered the backside of the wall over here. But I am going to leave this all open, so we will have the loading platform for the passenger train that you'll be able to see with the stairs coming down and the elevator out of one side. we'll have people milling about on here, and we'll have our 3 main lines, and it'll be lit underneath so that when we want to do some night running, we'll be able to light this up underneath. You'll be able to see all the trains. Let's see if we can get a nice shot here. There you go. Now you can see how that's going to look coming through underneath the station. One of the other things that's happened with this is going to make for a really cool video right here. If you look, we're going to do some filming right there. If you can see the elevated track right through this. This is a pass-through arch. So right back there, you can see the elevated track in the background. So we're going to have it where I'm going to do some videos with our trains passing through right here. You'll be able to see it and hopefully have some trains running at the same time going right here. So there'll be videos coming of that shortly, probably within the next month once we get stuff running. All right. I was talking about how we're replacing a building. We're replacing this building right here. I think I've talked about this before, but I'm not exactly sure. I wanted something a little bigger right here. It's the same basic building, it's just taller. Let me come over here and I'll grab this and then I'll just kind of go slowly. Here you can see this. Here's the side, or front panel rather. All right, I'm gonna bring this back over this way. You can kind of see how big this is gonna be now. All right. So there is the size difference on this. So it's about another 3 floors up. Not a huge difference, but enough to make quite the statement. I'm just going to prop this up back here for right now. So I figured out a way of making it easier to do the window shades and everything that I want to put in this and have certain windows lit and certain windows not lit. So we're going to be, I'll be working on that this week. As well, I'm going to go ahead. I have all 4 components to make all 4 walls to get it started, to do the basics around, and then I'll just cut a piece of styrene for the top, and then up on top up here. On this side, we will have all of the mechanicals. You'll have the big air conditioning unit, the elevator control box up here, and then on this side right here, we're going to put a green space. A lot of tall skyscrapers I've seen from aerial shots of like over New York, they'll put grass up on the top of their buildings for people to be able to go up and enjoy. So we're going to put something up here with maybe a gazebo of some sort that would be people of this building will be able to utilize. I haven't decided what this building is going to be, whether it's going to be an office, apartment, or hotel, whatever it's going to be. But that'll be really cool because when it's sitting right here, we'll be able to get our camera and we'll be able to do some shots down where you can see all of that as the trains pass underneath. So that is coming. This is going to be our first building. I'm going to paint this week. I'm going to build and paint this week. Then I'm going to take this building right here because they're too similar. I'm going to put, going between all of the windows, I'm going to put some ribbing coming down through here. And I'm going to put some extra details coming across. I'm going to change the crown up here too. Going to put different up there and maybe some horizontal lines here, and I'll change out the door configuration by just adding some styrene down here to hide things. And then we're probably going to move this guy over this way, and I'll get to that here in just a second. All right, so that's pretty much what has now changed in the city. As you can tell, it just keeps growing and getting bigger, and we're starting to get things painted now. I did come to a decision this week on the platform. What I've decided to do is when I get all the buildings finally built that we're going to have for this place, we'll take a picture of it so we know where everything goes. We're going to get everything measured out, where we need to have streets, blocks, all that kind of stuff. Move all of that, put it over on the floor in place, and then I'm going to take this foam and I'm going to use my joint compound and I'm going to take and I'm going to smooth all of the divots, everything, any cuts, any of that kind of stuff on here. Any of this that you see, it's all going to be smooth. What I was going to do, the original plan was to put a sheet of styrene across this whole thing right here and then build on top of that. But what I'm actually going to do is once I get this smooth, this will actually be the foundation. I'm going to get the asphalt color and I'm going to just paint the foam completely, the asphalt color, the entire thing. And then I'll set the the styrene I do have that creates the rise for the curbs and the block areas that the buildings will actually sit on. I'll paint that entire thing concrete. And then if I have alleyways behind, I'll probably use the same asphalt and I'll paint a few strips between the buildings for the asphalt to go through. And I'll be able to take the styrene and carve the drives that go up into the parking lots. I'll be able to use my Dremel and do nice slopes coming up and in. And that's how we'll establish and do our blocks. And the reason for this is it's going to make it very simple then, because then drilling through for the wires is going to be really easy. I don't have to go through really thick plastic. It'll just be the one layer for what the blocks are on. And then if we decide we want the city to change, we want it to look like it's growing, what we may do on down the line is, like, say, for example, we change maybe this city block right here. So I'll take this block out, just what's sitting here, and I'll put the new one in. I'll have the new styrene for the size, we'll put it in. Remove all these buildings, or most of them anyway, and then maybe for a while, we'll have what looks like a building under construction, a couple of buildings under construction with cranes. And then maybe after about 3 or 4 months of running trains and doing live, we'll have the new buildings in place. So we'll let the city grow like a natural city would grow, as it needs more and more space for the residents. So that is all in the plans, and that's now that we have this foundation figured out how we're going to do this, it's going to be really easy to do. And again, this will curve out here and go over here like we've talked about before. So the other thing that happened this past week was I worked on this whole thing right here. This is the rest of the elevated track. As you can see, it comes around and right over to here. And I've got all of the legs made. What I don't have done are these supports that go between. So we have to custom make and print all of the beams, the exact width we need. I got to make sure I'm happy with my placement. And then we got to make all of the beams come across, and we've got to put all that lattice work and everything down below. And then this will be painted the blue, just like this is. We're going to have a single cord come up right here that'll be hidden by a background building, a tall background building. So we'll get the cords up and out of the way. A single white cord will go all the way up here. And at that point, then we will have a splitter up here that will handle the 6 plugs, the LED lights that we have up here that light up the layout on both sides. So this will be here by next time we have our live session. So this will be all the blue. It's going to be coming over here. And like I said, what I was going to talk about back here is as you can see, I'm glad I didn't do all of the painting and weathering on this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a retaining wall that comes back at an angle and wraps around that this thing sits into. And sitting right up here on top, I'm going to build a custom, I don't know what you're going to call it. Probably a platform would be a good word for it. That's going to be the same style. It's going to have the ribbing, and it's going to be the width. It's going to sit right on top here. And it's going to be the width for the 2 tracks. And it's going to come all the way across. And so then when we have our tunnels that go through for the roads that go off into the distance and everything, you'll see that it'll look like a bridge over those areas back here. And then when we have the elevator silos, we will connect them with conveyors across the areas where the tunnels go through, and you'll be able to have just staggered silos all the way across right here. That'll hide most of this back here, but you'll have that pretty splash of blue behind whatever color we decide on for the silos, which right now it's leaning more towards a gray, a light gray, making it look like poured concrete, like you see a lot of. So that'll come over to here, and that'll stay blue right to about here, and at which point we will get, I'll show you what we're going to get here. I've already got one kind of made. Let me just get it. I'm probably going to make these a little bit longer, but you can see these custom made. This is a custom printed made bridge section. This is for a single track. We'll be doing a double. Well, no, this is single track because this is just a siding back here. And this is going to come across right here, and we'll have a couple of pier supports going across until we get over to the mountain section. So that's what that's going to be. All right. So now going back to the train show, I thought I'd show you a couple of the cars at the beginning, like that I told you about. So here's one. Some of these I've never even heard of the name. I mean, I've heard of Lamb Weston, but I've never seen this. I think this is a 60-foot refrigerator. I don't know if this is, yeah, this is a refrigerator. So it's just a beautiful color. Love this color. This is going to be a great canvas for some graffiti. So will this one, this Sexton one right here. Another plug door. And these are super clean. It doesn't look like they've ever had any where the guy was just so nice making the deal on these. These are really good. This one's got like some really nicely separately applied details. We've got some other very good roads downstairs that came with this batch. So that's all going to get done, and that's going to be for down below. I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so that kind of sums up the show and what's going on here and how this just keeps advancing. And we will we'll be doing more updates, just video updates. And like I said, we got a ton of videos of the train show, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming on those. I'm gonna turn on the light down here now. Okay, so tomorrow we break ground on this. Okay, so here's the upper shelf. Here's where the lower shelf is going. So this lower shelf right here, we're pulling this out tomorrow and this out tomorrow. I have to be really careful on this because of the supports. So I'm going to be able to do this in 2 goes. So I'll have to support this one for a little while. What we'll do here is I'll probably put a 2x2 jammed up underneath here down into the carpet just to get it braced. And then we'll disassemble this side right here, take it out, have the other 2x2 already cut and ready to go that goes right over here in this spot, and then I'll drop it down, and that'll support this up here. Then I can take this out, and I can take that out, and we can get this guy out right here. Because what we'll do is we're going to pick up lumber tomorrow for these 2x2 legs and for our new foundation for the HO scale level. And the HO scale level is going to be lower than this. This is why we're having to redo this whole thing. Because what we're going to do is, I ran into some logistics problems with brackets and stuff. So right here, you can see the ledge of the window. So if I had tried to come across at the level of the table, it was going to be about right here. And I would not be able to put brackets down to support it. So I'm coming down to this level right here, which is actually very convenient because when I'm sitting in my chair from my work table, this guy right here, it puts it at about a little bit above knee height. So that'll be great for working with. So we're going to get 2 foot by 6 foot sections, shelf sections, that will come all the way from here over to here. This is all being done tomorrow. And it's going to come back to this corner and then at this level right here. So it's going to be coming across like right here and lower than this. That's why we've got to get rid of this. And we'll have it out 2 foot, which will be coming out to about this, out about as far as this is right here. So then I'll reposition this leg also, but we will do that after we've done this area over here. We're going to, as soon as we get this section out right here, I'll take this leg off and we'll drop a new one in this corner straight down right here. And these will be on these 2 legs, this one and this one will be on the front edge of the HO section. So I'll just put a couple of angle irons up on the corners right here to give us support between here and here. Between that and the shelf brackets that we'll put on the wall will give us more than enough support right here. And then we'll put the fascia like this on the bottom part here to hide all the wiring. And by dropping this, if you look, back up here a little bit, if you look at the height of the window sill right here versus this way up over here, we're going to have a lot more background space. So this will allow us to put a bigger, taller buildings back here, different industries, things like that. And I was only going to do this coming a foot out, but we are going to go ahead and bring it out the same. There's no reason not to go ahead and bring it out the same depth out as this is, making it 2 feet all the way around, coming out all the way to this corner right here. Now at this point, it's going to have to narrow down to a foot out from the wall. We'll do an angle cut and everything will narrow down because I don't really want this having to come out at full 2 feet. Just a foot out will just be perfect. I'll just push this up against it, and then this brings everything to the corner here, which then brings everything back across with our jump tracks. So this, like I said, the construction will begin on this tomorrow. And we will have, next update we will probably have all of this in all the way down over to here, maybe even around the corner. So that way I can start, that way when I go to buy the pink foam, probably in about 2 weeks, I will be able to just buy the 2 sheets I need, which will finish up the mountain area base foundation here, and will give us all that we need for all of this right over to here. So I will be able to go ahead and start doing all the scenery and everything I want to do on the HO at the same time I'm working on it up here, which will make things so much easier. Because, for example, when I go to paint like this, then I can be doing anything like that that's down here at the same time. I've just got all my paints going. I'll just sit on the stool here for the upper one, work on it, then just change over to my desk seat, and then I can start working on this stuff. So I'll be able to do everything twice as fast by doing it this way, by just being able to have it all going at the same time. So that is what we have in store for that. And again, so this will be dropping down, so you can see how nice this will be, having this coming down probably about 4 or 5 more inches than where it is right now. That'll just give us more depth in here, height-wise. Make it easier. I won't bang my head so much trying to work on things under here. Plus, when we put lights underneath, it'll just be really nice cascading down. Okay, so that pretty much catches you up on everything that we have going. Again, let me just show you where we're at on the bridges. So if you weren't here at the beginning of the feed, or you didn't catch the feed, you're just here, that's all covered at the start. So, like I said, with the orders that we've got coming in for the buildings, some of this is on hold, but we will get back to building tall buildings later this week. We have to just get a bunch of stuff printed by tomorrow to get it all in the mail, and then we can get back this week to printing our towers. So hopefully by the time we get together in a couple of weeks, we'll have the backgrounds here done. This building will be in place right here. This one will be fixed and be sitting over here somewhere. That'll all be done. I'm going to try to also have the interior arch right here sealed in so you don't see the building on either side, here this way or this way when you're looking into the opening. And I'll be using my extra sheets of this stonework came in, so I'll be able to do the inside of that. We've begun. Oh yeah, I don't think you've seen this. Okay, so we've begun the tower print that will be on the side here. Let me try to back up a little bit. This will actually be standing probably about like this tall right here. This is a clock tower. And you'll see how we've got already got the pieces getting ready to print for the lower section of this. We're going to replace the clock. It's not the print for the clock was terrible. It doesn't give you the right amount of marks for a real clock. I think there's only like 9 on here, and you can't like double it up and make it correct. And I was hoping to actually maybe even have operating clocks. We'll see. We might do that on one side that maybe faces this way. Actually have an operating clock, and then the others will be printed differently on the sides. So that's going to go right here. This is in real life, this is a 280-foot tall tower. This right here is probably about 120 scale feet up, so it's about a little less than half the height of what it should be. But I think that's impressive enough for it right there. I don't want to block too much of the stuff that's in the background, so that should be fine. So that's right there. Yeah, these come with, let's see here. There's 4 of these that go on there all the way around on the top. Now, we'll also have a tower like this. This tower will be here on this side, and then we'll have a shorter tower. I'm thinking of putting the clock tower here because it's a little more away from the door, and they'll put the shorter tower right here. And then we'll have the courtyard area right here with the railings, so have people gather around, so like they're rail fanning and watching the trains go under. All right, so that pretty well catches it up, and we should be, if you look underneath here, you can see how the I-beam covers the graffiti now on the wall right here in a couple of spots. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I get this painted the red that I showed just a little bit ago, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to paint the graffiti over the top of the red on the beams. So it's like they just sprayed over the top of everything when they did it. So that will make everything make sense versus the way it is right now. And then I'll get this finished weathering. So this is within the next week or two, getting all this weathering finished and getting this all to that point and having this done. So there's a lot on the plate to have to be done right now, but it is getting there. So again, we are going to have some, let me get this out of the way. And set this back up right here. All right, turn this light off. All right, so that is what has happened. And again, I apologize about yesterday. I just completely forgot it. We had that issue last year because last year when we went to the train show, out there in Monroe, we actually were looking up values of certain things to see if we wanted to buy them or not. And I forgot that we kept having to go outside to actually go get a connection and find the values of stuff, whether it was a good deal or not. So that was just my bad on that. And everybody, like I said, everybody had the problem. And unfortunately, what that's going to do is next year, we are going to be going to it. We are going to be setting up at these train shows, about 6 of them a year, where we're going to be having an N scale and a Z scale, approximately 2 foot by 6 foot layouts. And we're going to display both an N scale and a Z scale, and we'll have a little table in between where we have our buildings for sale. And we'll be doing 6 of those shows. And what we were going to do, well, we'll be doing it the other 5 because I know we don't have any issues with those other 5. As we'll be live streaming at them. We'll just be setting the camera up in between the layouts, maybe even have our layouts going, or before you can people watch and see who we talk to and all those kind of things. It was really a shame yesterday that I didn't get to do the live stream because I talked with a bunch of people, and I had it all set up to interview some people from that had various businesses that were really some nice stuff. But I know I see them at other shows throughout the year, so we will catch up with them in the next ones. And I told them at the end that we couldn't get a signal. I said, "Oh yeah, we can't call out from here either." So when we were going to do a train show in West Bend, and that's in 2 weeks from today. Actually, it's a Sunday show. So we'll be going up and doing that, and I'll be running into a lot of these people up there. So we will do a live stream, almost 100% positive there, because we were looking stuff up in the building there last year when we were deciding on whether to buy anything or not. So it will be, we will have a live stream showing you, that one's got a really cool Lego layout. They've been up there a couple years in a row. If you look back in some of our earlier videos, you'll actually see a really cool video we did. They had an enormous, the thing was probably 4 foot tall wind generator turbine. And below it, they had a whole city, and the thing operated, this thing spun and worked. And they had an absolutely gorgeous Lego Southern Pacific Daylight train. Just beautiful. So we're going to get some good videos of that you'll see here. You'll be, like I said, you'll be seeing really good videos coming up over the next couple of weeks over the trains that we picked up. Just to give you a little preview of what we're going to have coming, we had, let's see, we had a Daylight in N scale that was really good. We have some Iowa Interstate, love those engines. That's coming up with videos next couple of weeks. There were some Wisconsin Central. There was an OS, I think it was 3 rail, the Big Blow, the turbine, Union Pacific. We've got that coming. Let's see, what else was there? There was another Union Pacific and N scale. I think it's the one that says "People Move Us" or whatever it is, or something like that. It had the silhouettes of all the workers on the side. Had some really good shots of that. Unfortunately, they didn't get the turbo. They had a turbo train that they were trying to get fired up, but they couldn't quite get there with, at least in the 6 hours that we were there. Maybe they got it running by today, because they were testing. It had great sounds. You could hear that jet sound firing up inside of it. But we've got some really good stuff coming for videos off of that. So we probably did, I don't know, I can't remember how many we got, but it was over 100. So those will all be coming. Hello there. Hope you're having a good Sunday or Monday, whatever it happens to be for you. So that's all coming up over the next couple of weeks, along with continuation builds on all of this. I'm going to try to get this, like I said, I'm going to try to get this bridge finished this week, get the blue all done back here, because I would really like to get the track down on that within the next couple of weeks, and get that to where it's we can start doing some testing engines starting back here and at least up here, so you guys can see how it's going to look. So that should be coming. We just have lots of little projects. Tomorrow we got to really dedicate to getting this going down here. And that will be done. Once I've got this going down here, I'll be happy. I'll feel like I don't have that like hanging over my head anymore. So that's where we are. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask, because we're going to probably wrap up here in a few minutes. I can't really think of anything. I didn't find any good. I mean, there were some decent in scale things there, but they were also pretty pricey. I almost bit on a guy had an entire flat. I couldn't tell the make. I knew they weren't the best of cars. They just had the very shallow relief molded on details. But for in scale with what I do to them, by the time I got finished with them, I could have had a really good fleet of those. I really love those little shorty, both an HO and I don't know the foot length on them. Maybe they're 40 foot in scale. It's those high cube box cars. It's the big long ones that have the double doors on them. It's the short version of that. On the end it says excessive height or excess height on the ends. Guy had a flat of them at $4 a car. It was all old roads, which means I would have had to have patched them all and renumbered a bunch of them, which is fine. I'm used to doing that kind of stuff, as you guys have seen in our videos with all of the cars I do. It's no big deal to do, but to do a fleet of them would have been a little something. Plus, they didn't have MTLs on them, so I would have had to have replaced. That would have been an expense where I would have had to have replaced all those, which is okay. It's just a time killer having to do it and replace and all that, and time to get them in here. But he had, I don't know, that flat had to have probably 40, 50 of those cars, and it was everything from Baltimore and Ohio to Southern to Burlington Northern, Union Pacific, Frisco, and I could have just patched all that out, weathered everything like crazy, and thrown graffiti on them, and just made lease cars out of it. And it would look really cool because I really want shorter cars for these layouts.
Closet Branch asks what the train length is on your layout.
Train length, okay. I'm assuming you mean how long each main line is. Is that so? I'll do two things. I'll explain the length of the main lines, and then I'll explain the kind of train lengths that we're hoping to run. The track length, depending on how I do this. I've described before how I'm going to try to get it where my lower track over here. I've shown where I'm going to have my jump tracks out over here. Hidden behind, or not jump tracks, but the jump tracks across. How hidden behind the backdrops of those, I'm thinking about doing two grades that come in back behind where I can take the layer that's on the pink and drop it down to this base layer, and the base layer coming back up the other way. So we have basically an figure 8 on top of itself. So with the hidden behind here, the up and down. Now if we do that, so this wall right here is about... I'd say about 8-9 foot long, and then this wall right here is a good 10 foot, and where this is right here is probably 7 before you hit the curve it's going to come in. So what's that? We're talking 25 foot around. Let's see. Yeah, about 25 foot around right here, not counting this area here, which will be an additional probably 8 foot. So we're looking at about 32 feet of main line, single track, but we have 5 tracks up here by itself. We have two down here, 2 on the pink, and then we have the high line. So, but if you're just looking at what a single track can do, you're looking at 25, let's see, 10, 25, 30, probably between 30 and 35 feet of track, one time around. Now, if we do the crossover thing, then you double that. So that would basically mean that we'd have 70 feet of main line, 70, probably closer to 80 feet of main line for in scale. That's pretty decent. It's not huge, but it's pretty decent because I'm not going to run long trains. I might occasionally, but for the most part, I'll probably run like 20 cars. So you're looking at, and that's why I want to get the shorter cars like I've been doing. I want to get mostly 2-bay hoppers, those shorter boxcar types. Now, container cars, I can't do anything about that. I love containers, so those are going to be my longer trains. The passenger trains, obviously, will be, probably 2 engines and 7 cars. So typical length of a train will probably be about 7-8 foot, something like that. So if you take 70 feet, 70 to 80 feet of track, and only 10% of that is a train's length. And we're going to run prototypical slower speeds. So we're not going to be doing any highballing like they do down in La Plata, Missouri, where they're, I've seen live footage of that, where they're doing probably close to 80 miles an hour. We'll probably do like an average speed of maybe between 30, 40 miles an hour on this. I'm going to get one of those little speed gauges that you have so we can track it. So I would say probably on an 80-foot main line, you're probably crossing over, going down, up. You're probably looking at about maybe 10 minutes to do the entire loop around, 8 to 10 minutes at a slower speed, which doesn't seem like much, but considering how what we're going to do is when we go DCC with everything, which will be pretty much right off the bat, we will run 3 trains per main line at the same time. We'll match speeds. We'll get everything where they're matching perfectly to where, say, so for example, let's say we're filming right here. And we have a train passes under here, a 7-foot long, 8-foot long train passes under here. About maybe 30 seconds later, 20, 30 seconds later, something like that, there'll be another train that'll pass through. And then 20, 30 seconds, another train will pass through. So we'll have 3 trains on each main line. So there'll be constant action going on. That'll make it interesting when we want to do switching operations for the industries, or we need to run the passenger train into the siding and stop for simulated passenger, because we're going to have probably 2 passenger stations on this eventually. One over here on this end, and then the one right here. So, yeah, I would say 80-foot, 3 trains per track. So eventually, when we get this built up with the 5 tracks, you're probably looking at 15 trains running at any given time. That's a lot of trains. So when we go to our live footage, our live feeds during the day, when we just set the camera up like this out of the way and we just get a nice view of everything, you're going to see trains running all the time. There'll be something coming through, and then about every hour we'll swap trains out. So I think we have the right length for track for this room. It's not a big room. I think we have about the right, we've maximized our ability to do what we can do. Now the HO will be much less. Probably going to have 2 main lines, probably 2, 3 sidings that will be here for the industries, longer sidings. So that's why I'll be going with much shorter cars down here, probably the shorty tank cars, probably ore cars, no bigger than probably the occasional 2-bay hopper, small gondolas, things like that, so that we can run. I'll have to run probably 10-car trains there, 10, 15-car trains there to not overwhelm it. We can probably run maybe 2 per main line there. It's going to be the same amount of track. Roughly, it's going to be anywhere from a single run 35 to a double run of 80, 70 to 80. So we're working with very limited space, but this is what we're going to be building for the next 6 to 8 months. Once this is finished, and I'm happy with how all of the scenery and everything has come out with these 2 layouts, we'll be going to the attic. I have a lot more room up in the attic. I have the entire end. My son takes the other end of it for school and his hobbies and things, but I'll have the other end of it. And that will give me approximately about 18 feet long by, it's going to be a dog bone, so it'll be 18 feet long by about 10 foot wide by the other length coming back about 12 foot. And we'll have multiple levels on that too. So that's a lot more. It's about double the space than what we have right here. So we'll run a lot more long trains there, along with where we're going to put bigger things in. For example, I'm going to have an ore dock there with ore ships. So that is all stuff that will be with that. But for right here, we're going to try to just pack as much scenery and detail as we can into this small space. We're going to have the huge city that's going to end right here, go to the little bit of like plains transition right here to mountains over here. And then back here, the jump track is going to be a long, beautiful bridge. Double stack bridge for the pink level wood levels to be together, and then we'll have a level behind for the blue line, the high line. So we'll have a double high bridge with a single behind, and it'll all be on the piers, and we'll have the water down below and a backdrop in place. So that'll be a beautiful area to do some filming right along there.
UTV says, now that I'm fully retired, I have more time for my various hobbies. I've been collecting NCL for more than 30 years and have one layout finish. Always learning and having fun.
Well, very good. That's great. Boy, that long of collecting, I mean, you must have quite a bit of stuff. I started with HO, and so I've been shifting to N, so I don't have a whole lot right now. I've only got basically like a decent sized shelf down here, a handful of engines, but that's changing. We're gaining on that all the time, but I don't do it unless I find a really good buy. I don't buy anything new from anywhere pretty much, because I'd rather go to a show, meet somebody, buy it there, or pick up used stuff. So, because by the time I get done doing what I do to everything between the weathering and graffiti and detailing and everything, there would be no point in me spending, that big of money on stuff. But I should be able to build up a pretty good collection over the next year, doing it that way. But that's great. So we've got a place on our channel here where, since you say you have a layout that's done, if you want to post pictures of it, feel free to share with all the rest of the people here. That was one thing I wanted to mention on this video is we set some pretty good milestones. We passed a few milestones this week that were really big. We're going to have a video about it here pretty soon. But we passed 1 million views on all of the videos. We are really climbing with our hourlies that we need to do. We're trying to get to our 3,000 hours. We're doing pretty good on that. Our members, our subscribers, our numbers are really getting up there these days. So, and with our shirts and everything that we now have that we go to the train shows with, we did notice that we picked up a number of extra people yesterday versus the normal amount we get of new subscribers a day. So, yeah, it's really starting to develop, and we wanted to say a big thank you to everybody for your support. I've mentioned before that we have nobody sponsoring us. We're doing all of this on our own. We're getting any reviews I do that you see in our review thing. We're not being paid for any of that stuff. We're just sharing with you what works for us, and if it works for you, that's great. So the feedback that we get from you guys, either through comments on these or comments in our videos, is wonderful because it shows that people are out there watching and like what we're doing, and we will keep doing it as long as people are there. So it's going to be quite a journey over the next couple of years as we build this channel and as we do all of this. If you're with us now, you're going to be able to go back in less than a year and be able to review a video that we put up like 2 months ago, where we just started, to within 8 months showing it finished. So it's mostly modern era modeling. My dad was a steam man, obviously. I mean, he was around for the steam generation. So he loved steam, and he had a number of steam engines, but he still did modern also. I do plan, because they do have them, I do plan on having steam. I hope to get a big boy, the 4004 for this, and I'm probably going to get a daylight. And then I'll probably, if I can find what I'm looking for, there's some other ones that I really want that have been retired for a long time, but at my world, I don't care. I'm just going to run whatever I feel like running because they're engines that I've really loved. I've drawn them before. I'm an artist. I'm a railroad artist. I have artwork up in most of the regional offices for the Burlington Northern Santa Fe and the Union Pacific across the country. I did that for 30 years, and I drew almost all the engines I drew were my favorites, which is steam and diesel both. So my eventual goal is to have all my favorites, and I've got probably a dozen steam that I really, really love. I want to try to find a Chesapeake Yellow Belly. I'd like to get, there's the S1 for Pennsylvania Railroad, and I don't know if they make any of these in or not, where I'm just getting into in. I know they got them in HO, so some of the stuff I may have to relegate to getting for the HO, and some for the in. But the big boy I know I can get for both scales, and I do want 3985 because I was very sad when I saw them retire that. We chased that a number of times across Nebraska, and that was so fun. I have yet to see 4004 in person yet, just due to where I live now versus where it runs versus when we lived in Nebraska. We were able to go down and just see 3985 pretty much whenever it came through. And I love the when they have the elephant ears on it, so I want to get that version of it.
We got a couple messages here.
Uh-huh.
UTV says he runs primarily Milwaukee Road in Alaska.
Okay.
Wilson AFB, and anything that says Wisconsin, like beer cars. And then Closet Branch says, how do you like modeling in compared to HO?
Okay, so let's do the first question. I don't know if you heard the question or not. Well, actually, I'll just kind of address it both. Okay, as far as HO versus N, I actually like N. HO is really great, and that's what I grew up with was HO. But there's something about in. You can pack so much stuff into such a small area, and the details are getting there. It used to be the details weren't there, and that's why I went with HO back in the day. So now that the details are there, and with the advent of 3D printing coming along, and how good that has become, and how reasonable that is, you have to have the software and stuff to create the things yourself, and you have to have a son who knows what he's doing, like I do. I'm very fortunate in that aspect. I say I want this, and he sits around, he plays around with the software, and he builds it for me. And I couldn't ask for better than that. I mean, he's the one that I tell him I want this building, like this station right here. I want this. And next thing I know, I've got the complete carcass for it. He's printed out that, and all I've got to do if I want to change what the exterior looks like is I just got to skim it with something. Couldn't ask for a better person to have this to work with on this. And because of the technology that we have today and how the young people know how to use it, which I do not, it's been a real advantage. Like the bridge, I mean, I tell him, all right, I need an I-beam that's 6 inches long, and I want to have the two little ends on it that, the solid ends versus the entire channel. By that afternoon, I've got a handful of them, and I'm ready to start building something. So, and it's just, to me, the details have come so far with N-Scale that I don't see much of a difference anymore. Now, I'm sure some people are going to say, oh, well, there's so much more details in the cars and the engines and all that. And I'm sure there probably is. But for me, for what I do and what I like to do, by the time I get done doing the weathering and doing the building, I'm perfectly happy. Now, what was the other question? I kind of got a little sidetracked there.
It was a question. Well, UTV says he models primarily Milwaukee Road.
Oh, yeah.
Some Alaska, and anything that says Wisconsin. He says he has a YouTube channel that'll be posting pics from the National Train Museum in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh.
He also visited the Troy Train Museum in Argyle.
Okay.
Thursday, which is awesome. More than an hour video.
Wow. Great. Yeah. I mean, I love the Wisconsin stuff. I love Wisconsin Southern. I love their new paint schemes that they did. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I know some people don't like them, but I do. Alaska. Oh, don't even get me started on Alaska. I love Alaska stuff. Gorgeous. That's why I'm pretty much getting a mountain area over here, so it's not going to be too unusual that you'll see maybe Alaska, coming through here. I've got to find some of those SD70 Max that they had. I'd really like to find a couple of those to be running here with some of the cars. Oh, and that's another thing that I forgot to mention about N-Scale and printing. I can print just about any car I want. There's a file up there. You just buy it, print it, do whatever you want. So even though there may not be something from a major manufacturer, we can print whatever car we want. So I can keep up with HO. So, but I would like to do Alaska. I do love Alaska. I love the paint schemes on those. So those, you will probably see Alaska equipment on here from time to time if I can find some. I see it at shows here, but because it's a little more rare in this area, prices are still a little stiff on it. So I'll see what I can do. But that is definitely on the bucket list as far as stuff to get. So there will be some of that, and of course Wisconsin Southern for sure. Wisconsin Central, I'll probably there's some really nice cars for Wisconsin Central that I like. I think it's what I can't remember Wisconsin Central if it's Wisconsin Southern that has the Sargento cars. I love that cheese car. So we're gonna have some of that. And as far as the beer cars go, yeah. There's some great beer cars. There's a couple of guys travel to the train shows in this area, and they've done every brewery you can think about, or microbrew or whatever. I mean, they've got a car for it. And he usually sets up at the local shows, which really surprises me, not just the big ones like Train Fest and Bad City. They've got gorgeous stuff. I just saw one yesterday. I almost pulled the trigger on it. I should have, and I know I'm probably not going to see this guy again. He actually had one for the Glorietta Beer Company. So, and you may think, well, what's that got to do with Wisconsin? Doesn't. I'm from Albuquerque originally. So Glorietta is not that far from Albuquerque. And I've never seen a Glorietta beer car before. And it was great. It had the New Mexico outline of the state and the Zia symbol on there. And then it said Glorietta, and it was their logo of the company. Just beautiful. I should have bought it, and I didn't. and I'm kicking myself for it. So if I see it at one of the next regional shows around here, I'm definitely going to pick it up. I know who the dealer is. I've seen him before. I just had never. He had about 10 really unusual beer cars there that they were all custom jobs, and the finish on them was great. I'm usually very critical because I'm very critical of my own work. So I'm usually very critical if I see somebody else's custom work as to whether I'm going to buy it or not, as to whether the finish is good enough. Because when you're working with decals and things like that, you can have some real issues. But these were he had trimmed the decals just to right around the leathering. You couldn't see extra. It was just the flat finish he put on it on the end was just beautiful. So you may see some of those. Those were HO, and I hadn't had this yet. I hadn't decided when I was going to do this, but now that I'm going to do this, I can be able to start running those things. So I'll be looking for that here pretty soon. A lot of, but then again, more of the regional stuff that comes in. As far as like mainline roads go, I like, well, man, I like Norfolk Southern. I'm really not sure about this merger thing that's going to happen here. I hope they don't lose a lot of their history. I love their heritage units. They're absolutely spectacular. Um, it rival. Okay, Union Pacific has a great heritage system, a heritage division because of the steam and those 6 engines they made, and they're beautiful. But boy, Norfolk Southern has some fantastic stuff. So I really hope none of that goes away with this merger. So I do plan on getting a bunch of those for both the HO and the N. I just like the unusual engines. You're going to see a lot of unusual stuff when we start running here. It's not you will see the occasional mainline, one of the big 3, 4 engines on here, but for the most part, it's going to be really the odd stuff. You're going to see a lot of the heritage stuff. You're going to see a lot of the short line things. There's some short line out there that got some fantastic paint jobs that they're just now starting to come out in model form, so we're going to have those. So, but anyway, back to it. Norfolk Southern, love that.
TV says he runs N scales, some brass cards, starting a small HO layout using not freeform layout. He has some brass HO cards and uses Keto 65 tracks for everything.
Oh, okay.
1955 Orange and Blue. And he apologizes for his typing today.
Oh, don't worry about it. This is why I have Gabe do the typing for me, because my typing is atrocious. Even my spell check, it can't figure out what I'm trying to say, and usually gives me a word that I can't even decipher. So typing's no big deal. So great. So brass is, I like brass. I love the details of Overland. The problem I have with brass is cleaning it. I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner right now. I used to, but I don't anymore. When I pick up an ultrasonic cleaner, because brass is becoming really reasonable because of that fact that it is so hard to deal with. You got to wear gloves. You got to make sure you get the ultrasonic cleaner doing what it needs to do. But you can't beat the details. Some of the modern plastic are getting there, but I would put anything from Overland up against anything modern as far as details go. So yeah, I do have a feeling I will be getting some brass stuff as well, both in N-Gauge and HO here pretty soon, or at least in the next year. We'll be running, and we'll feature it on the layout. Like our normal videos when we feature something we get new or something I work on. But I do plan on just buying them undecorated because there's a massive difference in price. You can pick up a nice brass engine that's just fully detailed and everything for about $300 now from Overland. That's pretty much the going price for anything, $300 to $400. That's the prices I see these days. Clean it, put your own paint job on it. You got a $700,000-$800,000 engine. So I'll take the time to disassemble and I'll do all that. I'll either get an ultrasonic cleaner or I'll get a self-contained fine grit sandblaster, one of the two, to take care of it. I'll probably experiment around with both, and that way I can do it. Because there's some actually spectacular structures in brass. Overland came out with some bridges that are just beautiful. Single track, double track, all that. Again, I didn't want to mess with because I knew I wasn't going to be able to paint them. But once I get to that stage, I'm probably going to be adding some stuff in here that'll be brass because it's just gotten so cheap. which is because you also have to do the conversions. The other thing is the brass doesn't have, most of it doesn't have any of the DCC in it, or sound, or anything else. So that I can't do. I'm building this stuff. I do the scenery, I do buildings, things like that. So when I get them, I'll probably send them off to somebody to have them throw the DCC in and put sound in, and then send it back to me, and then I'll take care of all the painting and weathering and everything else I want to do. So yeah, I do love brass.
Asked if you're modeling any particular location.
Location. Probably not a specific place. This is kind of like elements of, I've lived in big cities. I've lived in rural areas. So it's kind of everything. Things that I've liked from different places. So I have found that some buildings that I've really liked, excuse me, over the years, you can now get as an STL file. So you will see some of those popping up, and I will make note of them. Well, this is the building from so-and-so city, or this is the building from so-and-so city. So it's just because I like it. It doesn't necessarily mean let's say it's a building in Philadelphia. Just because I'm using it doesn't mean this is Philadelphia. I like the style. So I'm not really modeling any particular place. I'm just modeling more of a feel of what it is. Like when I do the mountain over here and the tunnels and everything, there's no place on earth that's going to have what I'm going to be doing right here as a prototype, with like 7 bridges crossing one little gorge, at different levels that I'm going to have, and the tunnels and everything. So and over here, for example, even though there may be something similar, the elevator that I'm going to put back here, there won't be anything like it, especially with like a tunnel and rock face back behind there. So it's just more of a feel of an area that I'm trying to do, versus an actual location. But I wanted to incorporate everything, and I know I kind of got a little ambitious on this, because every time I see something, I tell my son, I say, we need to print this. And I know we're going to run out of space real quick. But I'm trying to put, like the big city, I've always wanted a big city. There's no way I could do this in HO. Absolutely none. I mean, I don't have the space. I would love to, but I do not have the space. Like the city's edge layout. Oh, that thing is just gorgeous. That's what I'm kind of trying to emulate a little bit here, is the feel of that, but in scale. So, it's more of just, I wanted a big city. I wanted some switching for elevators because I love hoppers, and I've always wanted mountains with water, maybe a waterfall coming through. So that's all going to be over here. So mostly it's just, I don't even know if I'll ever even name the towns or the cities or anything like that. It'll just be mostly just, hey, I like that. Let's put that here. Okay, great. That's good. Let's do that. So it's mostly just going to be just having fun with it. And that's the beautiful part about all of doing this kind of a hobby, is you can just make it whatever you want to make it. And many people have said that, and it's the truth in that. So just like this is just an evolving thing. One day I'm going to be doing something right here, and the next day, no, we're not going to do that. Like I had no idea what I was going to do here from the transition from the city out here. I didn't know how I was going to make this look more rural coming over here. So I got these. We printed these off. We're going to print a bunch of them off. So we're actually going to have a trailer park, mobile home park, that's going to go along this entire edge right here. That will be the community that takes care of the industry out here. Because back in the corner back here is going to be an enormous strip mine. I found a file. You've seen those excavators that are the enormous disc that have the buckets on them. Well, I found a file for that. So that's going to be back in the corner. So I can have a gravel company back here, because I love Ortner cars. Hang on a minute. I'll show you. If you don't know what that is, most of you probably do. But if you don't know what an Ortner is, that's an Ortner car. And there's just something about these cars that are just great. Now, this is HO. But I found the file for InScale, so I'll be making all our own, make a fleet of these things. And all we got to do is get the MTLs. They actually have the area for the bolsters underneath, for you just to attach the MTLs to them. So I'll be able to, and decals, I found decals, a great source for decals on these things. So there will be a bunch, I'm gonna have a fleet of these things, because again, they're short, there's something about when you have a big porch on either side, which is why I love SD40-2s. When I was growing up, that was absolutely my favorite engine. I thought it was a balanced looking engine. You have these porches out front and rear, and you have this nice, just rectangular body, and it was just a good looking engine. Same thing right here. So, um, back here where this is going to be, I'm probably going to have about 30 or 40 of these things all lined up and in scale back here on the sidings, and that's where the tracks are going to be going over. So, this community right here, getting a little off topic, I got all excited about orders there. Sorry about that. So we'll have this community right here that's going to take care of the ADM, and it's going to take care of the mine back there. And being that I have foam back here, it's going to be nice because I'm going to be able to dig that down and make roads going down into it to get to the huge excavator. It'll actually be a dig out thing, and part of the mountain's going to be completely ripped off over here. We're going to have big gouge marks. It's going to look really cool with the way this thing is just like going into this right here, whatever rock we decide to put over here, whether it be limestone, granite, whatever. So it'll be just, it's going to be a great spot back there in the corner. So we needed to have a transition from city to country to industry. And that's, I think we've come up with a good solution for it with the way we're going to do this. The two main lines are going to come through right here with a highway that runs beside it, with that back there with a siding for the elevator. So that's about what we're going to be doing with that. So this.
Plaza Branch says that's a fantastic plan.
Well, thank you. It's been a long time in coming. I've had all these ideas for a long time is what I wanted to do, and I probably wouldn't have been able to do it if my son hadn't been able to help out with the 3D printing, because right now probably, well, at this point right now 100% of what you see here as far as buildings goes is 3D printed. So I do have some kits from Walthers for some specific things like the granite industry that's back here. It's a kit from Walthers. But then of course the excavator with the huge disc is all going to be 3D printed, and it's massive. I'm thinking about maybe I've got this HO kit around here someplace that's a big crane, and I may just take the base of it and adapt it so I'm not having to print so much, and just adapt it with the boom arm and the big disc on it with the cabling with the counterweights back behind. I don't see the kit up here anywhere. So that's what's in the plans. I've thought a lot of this out. Initially, what we were going to do so just give you an idea of how things have changed on the fly as we've been going, is this was going to have a big river area right here. It's going to have a river area come through right here with a drop down, a notch down right here, and every level is going to have a set of bridges that went over it. Well, it didn't really seem to make sense since I'm going to have a big bridge area right here to have it right here. So it has changed as we've been going along, and I think it's been adapting really good for what I've got. Like I said, we'll have the highways and things. There's going to be some really cool details right here with the lake that we're going to have. So it's been an evolving process. We find these really neat files that I want to incorporate into it. I just look at it and say, can we do this? And he says yes or no, and we add it. So you will see this change. That's why we do these updates weekly, is because some of you probably noticed from last week to this week, a number of things have changed. Ideas have changed. And it's just, this is why, okay, I mentioned this about 2 weeks ago. I've had some people in the past ask me in the past month or two, why don't you have your track down? Why don't you do your track first, test everything with your track, and then do this? Well, for the main reason that I changed things so much that had I had track down right here, I couldn't be doing this right now. Had I had the track down back here where I was originally planning on doing it, we wouldn't have the elevated track. As good as it is, we'd have one, but you wouldn't see it. It'd be in the back. That's where it was originally planned to be. It was behind all the buildings, with just a glimpse of it going between the buildings. Since we've been working on it, we've been placing things, we've been able to adjust things like this lower section right here. I did not know what to do with this area. This was going to be pink foam all the way out here, and we were just going to do this. Is all just because I thought, hey, let's have 3 levels of track, and because of that, not having it down, we have been able to adjust. I know a lot of people want to put it up and they want to start running and having a good time, and all the power to them. That's great. That's how my dad was. He would put the bench work up, he would do everything, and he'd have his trains running, and then he'd start working on the scenery a little bit at a time. To me, the train running is actually secondary to building the world. This is what I love to do. So I'm adapting it as I go. Now I realize in real life that's not how it worked either, because the trains were there before a lot of this stuff grew. You know, the cities grew. Trains were already going through there, and the city had to adapt to the trains. Well, that's not going to work in a model form for me because I'm just changing things too much. So it will get there. I'm hoping within a month's time, at least the High Line will be done all the way around to where we can start to run some stuff up there, and maybe at least one to two of the main lines down here along the bottom. Our main lines on the pink are probably going to be our last thing to do, because we've got it's going to go between these two sets of buildings right here, and I'm still not 100% sure on that. So that may be changing, and I may have to move things around a little bit. The High Line is not going to move, so I'll have to adapt that. So see, if I had glued all that down, I might have backed myself into a corner and have to rip a ton of stuff up. So this is just allowing me to do it the way I like to do it, and we'll get there. It'll be running, and see, the thing is too is then when I start to run, it's all going to be brand new. You know, I haven't been sitting here for 2-3 years just running trains on open bench work. By the time I get my scenery done, and I've already run everything and I've done everything, and so it's adapted a little bit at a time. Here it's going to be like brand new. It's like Christmas Day when I start running my first trains fully, and most of the scenery is already in. It's going to be great. So, but that's me. There's some people that just want to run trains and they want to get them going, and that's great too. I was that way a long time ago, before I started getting into the actual building part of it. So I'm just adjusting as I go as to how I do it, and I'm sorry that I don't have anything to show running right now, but at least I can keep you guys updated on how this is evolving and what we're doing with it. So I think that's for me, that's the best option. So that's how we'll do it, and that's how we'll go. And so if anybody has any questions about anything, you know, on any of the videos we put up about any of the build stuff, if you're wondering why we're doing it that way or how do we do it that way, you see something like, just shoot us a line. I'm always happy to talk trains. I mean, yesterday at the show, I talked trains with guys for a long time about different things, and it was fun. I love talking trains. The history of trains go back in our family all the way back to the early 1900s. So it's my grandfather worked for Santa Fe Railroad as a master machinist. He retired from him. He actually stored some of the last steam engines. My dad worked for Santa Fe for a brief period. I had an uncle that worked for the Union Pacific his entire life. My dad's best friend worked for Denver and Rio Grande for his entire life. So it's always been around. So I just, and with my artwork that I did, I met so many people traveling around the country, going to train shows and art shows and things like that, that I met some just fantastic people that I learned so much stuff from them, and I got to hear so many great stories. So I don't know, next video or two, I'll show you our shirts that we got. We have a couple of shirts. They're just kind of little temporary things that we had put together on the fly real quick. But it'll change, but it'll basically be the same thing. So if you ever see us at a show, come up and say hi, and we'll talk trains for, long time, if you want to do that, because I love doing that. So yeah, so after I think we pretty well covered everything. This has been a really good catch up and chat session, and I hope I answered everybody's.
His wife's father and uncle worked for the Milwaukee Railroad after serving in World War II.
Milwaukee. Yeah, I heard stories from guys since living here that they really enjoyed working for the Milwaukee Railroad. It was kind of like the Santa Fe was back in the day, that it was a good family company, that they cared about their people like the Santa Fe did. Now I've heard bad stories from the Santa Fe too. I'm not going to say it was all roses, but people really enjoyed working for it and made full careers their entire lives out of it because they enjoyed it so much. So it was, and today I can't really give you a whole lot of. I've heard that it's okay. Ever since the merger became BNSF, things kind of went downhill a little bit, and I think that's just how it is with any merger. Which is another reason why I'm hoping the thing with UP and ESSA goes through okay, because the NS, oh boy, they were great. When I was before I lost a lot of my good vision, my good close-up vision for the surgeries I had to have, I was getting ready to do. It was about the period when Norfolk Southern got all of their, were getting all of their heritage units in, and I contacted, I can't remember his name now. I've got it written down in the other room. He was the head of PR there for Norfolk Southern, and I contacted him, and I was going to do every engine that they did, heritage-wise, whether it was the ES or whether it was the SD, and I was going to do them nice side views like I've done on the other stuff with some car behind it, but just mainly the focus on the engine. And he was great. He says, "Oh, he says this would be fantastic." He says, "We have a company store. We'd love to put them in there. You can sell them there." He says, I said, "Well, I'll give you guys a bunch of them to give away as gifts." I said, I just want, approval to be able to actually do the drawings and not get in trouble for it." And he says, "Oh yeah." He says, "Why wouldn't we want to give you approval?" He says, "All you're doing is giving us free advertisement." I mean, Santa Fe was exactly the same way. I got to go into all of the major offices. This is back in the 80s and 90s. We had the wife and I had our engagement pictures taken in the Belen Yards in New Mexico. We went down there. We had a professional photographer. Now this is going on 30 plus years ago, before everything happened and you can't get in anymore. People were, if they knew you weren't being malicious about anything, and you were smart when you were in the yards, they didn't care. And I got to be friends with a lot of them. Well, anyway, digressing there. So I don't know if you've seen it, when you have two engines, nose to nose, coupled, and this is when the B40s just came out, the wide versions, the Santa Fe in the silver and red. And we went down to the yards, and we had two noses of engines hooked up together. Okay, so the plows were like this. So what does that shape remind you of? It's a heart. So it was perfect. She got up in her, our engagement pictures, so she got up in her wedding dress. I got up in my tux. And she stood on one of the pilots, and I stood on the other, and we leaned in and we kissed over the heart. And it was absolutely perfect. And that was one of the best days ever. And we had the people coming out, the guys were all out applauding us, and just, it was just wonderful. So that's a company. And I heard Milwaukee's the same way. It was the same way. There was several companies like that. So it was a good time to actually be rail fanning. I feel sorry for the young guys today that aren't doing anything bad, and they just want to rail fan and just watch engines, and they get chased out. And I understand, because you get people like what happened, what was it, over in Nebraska, I think it was, where the guy just for a video derailed the train and could have hurt people bad. I understand that we just, things have just gotten, so it's not without reason that they are the way they are today about security, and how they're very standoffish and everything versus back in the day. And I really, like I said, I really feel sorry for people trying to just become involved with rail fanning and the hobby and everything, because there's so many bad apples out there that make it worse for everybody, versus days like that back then. I mean, those are days that we used to just go down there, and she's a good egg, boy. She would go with me anywhere for rail fanning. I mean, we'd be out in the middle of the desert, hot, everything. We'd be on a bridge watching stuff come through, and she'd be right there with the camera helping me out. And we'd be down in the yards on a weekend getting pictures, and it was a good time. So maybe it'll get back to that someday. I kind of doubt it, but maybe it will. Maybe it will. But anyway, so I've got a lot of stories like that that I'll be happy to share when we're doing these little live sessions and everything. I hope I'm not boring anybody too much about it. So I have a lot of history with the railroads, and I've completely digressed now. I have no idea where I was going with this at this stage. So I know it was a response to something. So I hope I answered you. I think it was about Milwaukee Road and about family working for it. And I hope they had as good of experience, from what I've heard, other people working for Milwaukee Road did, like my family had with the Santa Fe. So anyway, I think we're doing good. I think we've kind of updated everything here. I've kind of talked a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was planning on this just being a quick little half-hour session showing you what's updated, but this is great. I'm glad we've had a lot of questions today, and I hope as we move forward, more and more of you come with more questions, or if you want to know how we've done something, please ask. I'll be happy to let you know.
UTV says thank you for today's chat. Have a great day. See you again. I need to leave. Best regards to all.
Oh, you too. Have a great rest of Sunday or Monday or whatever it is, wherever you're at. I hope it's a great rest of the day. So we're probably going to do the same thing. I think we're going to sign off here pretty quick, unless anybody has a question about anything. We should have our next live session. It probably will be a build session of some sort. I'm not sure exactly what I'll be working on. It may be this area right here, getting the stuff glued into place. Or it could be over here. I might be working on this section. It's going to be one of the two. It's either going to be over here, working on this back section, or we'll be doing this right here. We'll be doing that, or...
Fantastic live stream. Looking forward to seeing more.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, I hope I haven't bored anybody with the stories. So we will just keep expanding. Sometimes we'll be doing stuff with HO, sometimes it'll be in. But either way, whatever we show here will work at either gauge, any gauge, doesn't matter. The techniques that we show here. So it'll work for you. It just happens to be primarily it'll be in for us with some HO, but it'll work for anybody. And I'll be happy to help anybody with anything as far as questions go. And so again, if you guys, hope you have a good rest of Sunday or Monday, depending upon where you are, like I said, because I know there's some people right now, it's time to get ready to roll over to midnight. Some people are already into Monday morning. So whatever it is, I hope it was good, and this was really nice today.
Another question.
Yes.
Master Finnings.
Yes.
How many engines do you have thus far?
Okay. As far as equipment goes, so I don't have a whole lot of engines. I have a lot of rolling stock because I like working on rolling stock. So right now I currently have 4 N-scale engines. They've all been gifts from the family. And HO, I probably have about a dozen, something like that. But that's going to change very rapidly because, like I said, when we finally get all the DCC in here and we have all 5 main lines operating, I want 15 trains running. So if you go 2 engines a train, right there, you're looking at 30 engines. And I want to be able to swap engines out. I want to be able to swap trains out into the sidings every couple hours, every hour. So really, I'm going to probably have to get up to about 60, 70 engines in N-scale. And in HO, probably about half that, and I'll be comfortable with that. And there's enough, like I said, enough of the unusual engines that I really like that I'll be able to hit those numbers and have something. That's the other thing, like I said, is I said a little bit before, you're going to just see some really odd things here. And I have some, I should grab that real quick. Yeah, hey, hang on just a second. I want to show you something. I don't remember if we put this on video or not. Oh, I can't get to it. I'll bring it out. I've got some custom painted engines. I'll bring it out next time we get together. I've got some custom painted engines, fantasy painted engines. I love fantasy painted engines. I actually have what is it? I think it's a C44-9 that I took the cab off of and I put a B unit nose on it. And I call it the Mako for a shark nose. And I've done a number of these for people over the years that have ordered them for me. And I have my own that I'm going to put on the back end of a blue and yellow Santa Fe because it's a silver and red Santa Fe. And so you're going to see that running down below here. And I'm a little leery about doing in scale because I know the decal sheets are there. That's fine. I have no problems with that. It's just working, going from that big down to that big. Or that big. So I do plan on doing some custom things with N-scale in engine form. So you will see some real oddities out here. There's some things that I've come up with concept wise that they never built. Obviously on the B unit that I've actually got some old steam turbine type of stuff that I want to give a shot trying. To build kind of like the M1 was. I think it was the M1 that Chesapeake and Ohio had. where they were kind of a steam turbine type of a thing. There's some things I have designed that now that I've got 3D printing, I can actually kind of combine some things together to make some really weird looking stuff. So I love doing freelance like that. So I love prototype, but I really lean more towards the fantasy end of it. So you're going to see some really cool things running on here once I get to that stage. I'm not going to be probably starting any of those main projects till I get at least 60-70% of this done, to where I can start taking a little bit of time to work on those because they do take a little bit to do. I do have a really nice Denver and Rio Grande set that I've got all the components finally assembled for it. I think I do. Oh, they're here someplace. I've got an SD70 Mac, Mac that I'm going to do some chopping on. That I'm going to be putting a special set of radiators onto it, and I'm going to create an A and a B unit and have a set for it. So you have the cabless and the cab version, the white cab and the cabless. Got all the decals. I got the right kind of paint. Found the right color paint for it. So there's just some really neat things going to be coming out here pretty soon. If you're wondering how the quality of that's going to look, I don't know if you've really noticed the weathering and stuff like that, but I've built some in the past. I've actually taken some decent awards at NMRA events with my custom builds. I had a custom built set that I did it was about 15 years ago that I did a Maersk set. I'm rambling on again. I did a Maersk set, and I did a SD. I think that at that time, all they had were the SD60s when I actually did this. I think I did an SD60M, and I did an SD60 cabless. Well, I did two SD60Ms, and I did a cabless, and I did all of that in Maersk with the war bonnet and everything, and I actually painted up two full custom cars and containers. So it was actually a 5-unit set. And I took best of show at 2 NMRA events with that. One was in Minnesota, and I can't remember where the other one was. But anyway, so I love doing fantasy stuff like that because the only thing they ever painted was that GP60 M and that FP or just F, I guess F45. And I don't know about that. I don't know if that SD40, the one that comes out that says Overland on it, I'm not sure on that if that was ever really a real engine or not. But anyway, mine were obviously not anything they had actually done, but I always loved that blue and silver together. I thought that was just gorgeous. That's why I really like, I don't know if anybody has seen it, but Norfolk Southern just came out with that Delaware and Hudson blue and silver engine. Oh man, I saw that. I was like, I actually did a custom Delaware and Hudson that was almost exactly like that 20 years ago. I did a GE to boot. And the only thing that was different is my blue came down a little further from the top, not much, but a little bit further from the top, and my the little lightning thing on the side was just a little bit more pronounced. But otherwise, I had one exactly like, but I sold it. I should have sold it.
Closet Branch is curious on how you determine the minimum radius on
Oh, well, that's a good question. I usually do a lot of my track planning. We'll answer this question, and then if anybody has any questions about the custom stuff, let me know. Minimum radius, there's standards. NMRA makes standards for radiuses. A lot of times that works, a lot of time it doesn't. It also depends on the length of cars that you're going to run, that you plan on running. And since I'm planning on running a lot of short cars, I don't need to have as big a radius as most people have. I think my average radius is between 9 and 10 inches in. Maybe a little more, but I think that's about right. I've got a couple little areas where it's a little tighter because I'm having to work with like this bump out right here on the wall. This was a fireplace that went down to the kitchen. This is an old house. This house is 130 something years old. And this is to go to a fireplace down in the kitchen. And so I've got this bump out in this room that I'm having to work around. And where I want to place things. So right here, I don't know if you want to see it, but right in this area, there's just a little spot right here that's a little harder than that as far as the radius goes. But I checked it with a couple of my longer cars and it should be okay. I try to do like where this right here is a big sweeping curve that's going to come into this. This right here, this curve is probably, this is closer to a 3 foot diameter, maybe a 15 to 18 inch radius right here. I'd have to guess. My dad was very particular about his radiuses. He would get, um, he had a yardstick, wood yardstick that he drilled holes through, and he would go below the NMRA standards. So he would see where his farthest out point he wanted it to be, like say right here for the curve. So then on the bench work back here, because he always, he'd put a piece of wood out, screwed underneath where he could bring it out here. He'd bring the yardstick out, place it here, and out here where the hole was, he would get his inch. So I don't remember what HO radius is, like 18, 20 inches, something like that. So he'd make wherever the hole was for that with this end point right here, he'd put a nail through, and then he would swing it and draw his curve off that. And then he would back it up. He always did 2 main lines. Then he would back it up the actual distance between main lines out a little bit further, and he would do the same thing. I'm just going to sketch it on. And like right here as it comes through, I know I'm pretty good. So I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw my radius for the 2 tracks, and I'll keep them equal distance apart. And then I'll put my roadbed down. But I don't think I have anything less than probably 9 inches. I'd say, yeah, I'd say about a 9 inch radius, I think is about what it is. So I think I had my son look it up, and I think he said that was almost close to what they recommend from NMRA. Was like a 9-10 inch radius, something like that, where you're close to a 20-22 inch diameter for N scale. Which makes sense because I've seen the train shows, guys have a 2 foot by 4 foot because the width of the tables are not very big and they hang over a little bit. They just come and set up on a regular 6 foot table, and you can tell it's about 2 foot, and they have a complete curve and everything seems to be able to handle it all right. And that's less than 24 inches because you have a little bit from the edges. They always come in a couple inches. So I would say I'm probably right there. Now HO, I don't know. We're having to work around the same fireplace that goes down right here. So I want the double main line to be close to that wall so I can create a curve over here so that I can shoot across this gap that's going to be here. So that's going to make it a little more difficult to try to work around this fireplace to get it to the back wall, or actually to get it more towards the front so I can put my siding in the back. So I may have to fudge things a little bit right there. I'm not quite sure, but I'll let you. I'll when I start to actually put track down, I'll update in those videos. Either live or in it, what I use as far as radiuses go and things like that. I know some guys have even gotten to the point where they actually put their, they actually tilt. They'll actually tilt the cork so that the track is on a tilt. Like in real life, you see out on a curve for the higher speeds, you actually see the track tilted. So I see guys that actually do that. My fear is there that I'm going to be running at lower speeds. I'm going to have trains topple over. So everything will be flat. It won't be quite prototypical as far as that goes. So, but I think, yeah, 9-10 inches on a radius is probably pretty good for this. And, for a size limitations, that's really fine. 20 inches, I could loop around right here because I've got 2 foot out from the wall if I actually wanted. And I could just see right here that if I had the pink all the way out to the edge here versus all the way to the back, I can see how the bigger cars like the auto racks and the high cube long box cars would be able to handle a curve like that without too much problem. I mean, it'll stretch a little bit. Now, something like that, though, I'm not, well, the big boy is articulated, so it probably can handle an N scale. It might be able to handle like a 2 foot diameter. I'm not 100% positive on that, though. And since I do plan on, like I talked about earlier, I do plan on doing a big boy. I'm hoping that what I build here will be able to handle them, especially up on the high line here, because I would hate to be coming around this curve right here off of the elevated, where that I think is going to be. I kind of figured that out, that's going to be roughly about maybe an 11-inch radius, 11-12 inch by the time I make my curve out to the edge. I'd really hate to have that thing go around and go off and go on the floor. So I'll have to do some testing on that just to make sure I can cover that, because I think that would look really cool having the big boy come along the high line here in the city. it would, like I said, with that shot I told you about before, looking through the breezeway in the building and getting a shot of it going through. So I think that's about where I'm at on that, and I can't remember what it is as far as centers on track goes. It's just a little over an inch, like an inch and a quarter on in. I don't I don't really go by that. Because you know the road bed. Um, if you go by an inch and a quarter or an inch and a half, whatever it is, that's going to put, when you do that, that's going to put this kind of like almost like that. And I like to have a little distance between, so that if I want to put some greenery in between, like the ballast has kind of come down, like maybe a thin line of green here and there. So I'm probably going to go a little bit further than the NMRA standards for distances between mainline straights. So just so I can have some scenery that I want to have. So I'll be doing some stuff to NMRA standards, and I'll be doing some stuff a little bit outside of NMRA standards. But it'll work. I'll get it to where it'll work. So, all right. So I think I have kind of blathered on for longer than I was expecting, but I'm really happy everybody asked questions today. And I mean, if you have questions, just keep shooting them at me. I'll answer them. But that's what I'm here for. Is if you've got something you want to know to help you out, I'll see what I can do. I'm by no means an expert. I have been I've been doing model railroads for about 40 years, but I'm still learning. I mean, I never worked with foam before. I always worked with plaster cloth and chicken wire, and did it that way, and built your things with little sticks and stuff. And I'm really finding I like this an awful lot. I love this, and this didn't take me having to pour plaster into molds or do anything. I mean, this was like a 2-day project to get this rock wall. If I had been doing plaster with that and the way I used to do it, that'd have been a week project all the way down back here. So it's just a time saver. So that's something new. I have worked with DCC before on a very limited basis. There was I had some engines. I couldn't get my dad into DCC. I think I mentioned that before. He just wouldn't do it. So I did some of my own, and I had a little loop and stuff that I would practice with. So I know about programming and things, but I don't know a whole lot. I mean, when I see guys in their pictures and they show up underneath there, they do shots of what they've got underneath, and I mean, it looks like one of those old computers that would, a computer that would take a room, the size of a room, to do what a computer that's on a chip this big does. I mean, it's just all wires and all connectors and everything. It's like, so I'm going to try to do it as simple as possible. I'm not going to have a whole lot of turnouts. I'm just going to have maybe 2-3 sidings, and it'll just be mainline. So I'm hoping to get away with just running maybe 4 leads on each loop, 1 on each wall for power. I don't know if this is going to be possible, but I just want it as simple as it can possibly be. And as far as switches go, I'm just putting push buttons. I'm not going to have any kind of control center or anything, so that if I'm switching over here for the industries, I've just got my button sitting right here to push, to throw the switches up for all the sidings and everything. So I'm going to try to go as easy as possible. So that's me. I mean, some people just love the electronics part of it. I don't know enough about electronics. I have done a lot of soldering and putting things together with DC. You just kind of had to as you were growing up. You had to learn a lot and design a lot of stuff yourself, but not with computers. I haven't done that. So, and chips and things like that. So that's why I'm probably going to be sending most of my stuff off initially to have somebody else install that in all the engines, because I'm just not confident enough in my building abilities to do that. I can build this stuff all day long, but when it comes to that, I can't. Plus, I want people to actually put in the right lights and things, get the right brightness of lights and ditch lights and the whole works, and there's just no way. I'm just too scared to do that. So I'm afraid I just ruin the engine. So there's some things I won't even do. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it there. My throat's getting a little dry and a little froggy. But I think we will have a build session next weekend. Probably, I think my wife said she had to do a whole bunch of work, stuff for work at home next weekend, and she was going to be pretty busy on Saturday. So I think we'll shoot for our Saturday again, or maybe Sunday. It seems like we've had a lot of people here today. So I don't know. She said she didn't care which day she was going to do her work. She said she'd just do it while I was doing my live session with my work. So we'll kind of see how the numbers go from today, what it comes out at, and what what it was, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So maybe Sunday, but maybe Saturdays. But we'll let you know probably around Wednesday or Thursday what day it's going to be. I'll give you a few days heads up, and then of course the day of, whichever day we do it, we'll post the notice at least probably 6 to 8 hours in advance. All right, so if nobody has any other questions or any thoughts or feelings about anything, I think we are going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. And I just want to thank everybody that came out. And I hope you all had a good time and great questions, great feedback. So if you think of anything, post it in the comments section if there was something you forgot to ask. And like I said, we have an area on here on the channel. If you want to post pictures of anything you're doing, feel free to go ahead and do it, of your layout, of your modules, of your builds, whatever you want to do. We're just trying to get people to share stuff and just have a good time. So anyway, have a good rest of Sunday, and we will see you guys next weekend.
Plaza Branch says, thank you very much. I sent to you and UTV's channels.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And again, we do this at least once a week, sometimes twice. So we may do an update in the middle of the week. So if you're new, you might want to, sometimes those are like just a quick half hour. Like if I built something really cool and I want to show it, we may drop in for like a half hour and do that. But next build one, that'll be long. This was sort of like in place of the build session. So we do that usually every other week, but we're probably going to be up in that to maybe once a week. All right. Well, you guys have a good one and be safe out there, and take care of yourselves. And we hope to see you next weekend. And thanks for being here.